Welcome to MarcusG.tv. I'm Chef Marcus Giuliano. I'm a chef on a mission. Today's mission is health. So I found a great article. I subscribe to a lot of emails, tons of emails, whether they're holistic doctors to mainstream culinary news, where they really don't care about health whatsoever, where they're just willing to promote anything. And in fact, a lot of these so-called newsletters that come out through the culinary industry, through the professional chefs industries, societies and things like that, organizations and beverage association, a lot of them are actually pushing corn syrup and pushing sugars and pushing refined foods and pushing convenience foods with all sorts of junk and chemicals, because that's the manufacturers, that's where the money is, and that's who's placing all these ads. So a lot of times I'll get emails saying, oh, join this webinar and with this scientist or this doctor who says, that high fructose corn syrup isn't really as bad as we think it is. So I cover both spectrums when I read all this stuff. So if somebody says, Marcus, you're only one-sided, that's totally not the case at all. Okay, if you've read gone through my blog or seen in my videos and on how I've transformed my diet and my life years ago, I've experienced both sides. I've experienced the high fructose corn syrup, the trans fats, the fried foods, the white flours, and all that kind of stuff. And I've experienced the healthy food and the green smoothies and the green juices and the high fruit diet and the high simple carb diet being fruit. So here's a great article that just came out through one of my professional chef emails. And it says here, let me just pop back to this. I'm in a couple different windows. Nutrient-dense diets can reduce calorie intake. Creating a diet that emphasizes on nutrients, on nutrient density of food calorie content may be healthier and lead to lower caloric intake overall. So this registered dietitian, out of Seattle, I believe. Some of the most nutrient-dense food include non-starchy vegetables, fruit, legumes, and this article goes on to compare refined grains versus whole grains, simple sugars versus sugars that are like naturally found in fruit. And this is something that I've always said, and this is exactly what the article says as well. Don't count calories. Count the nutrients. Count the density of the food. Count how nutrient dense the food is that you're eating, and then don't worry about the calories after that. Now, of course, I'm not saying take broccoli that's nutrient dense and deep fry it and eat fried broccoli, tempura broccoli all day long, because that's not the point of it. The point of it is to respect the food, to understand that cooking methods like cooking in oil, especially deep frying, that certain things are just not good for health reasons. So, but when you look at like white rice versus brown rice, whole grains versus refined grains, so whole grain bread versus white bread, white pasta versus whole grain pasta, there's massive differences in the nutrient value of that. Once you start refining and stripping a food, you lose most of the vitamins and minerals and a lot of the fiber. So for instance, on rice, you mill the outside of the brown part, the hull. Same thing with wheat. So when you make whole wheat versus white wheat, you strip out all of those vital nutrients. The general rule that this common knowledge over years of me hearing this is that most of the nutrients are found within 5% of the skin, the outside of the fruits. That's why you don't want to peel a sweet potato. That's why you don't want to take the outside things off of certain fruits and vegetables, like an apple. You wouldn't want to peel an apple. So it's great to see that a mainstream chef organization is actually putting an article in under the healthy bits like this, because some of the stuff I see and I laugh at and I say, wow, this is just so far from the truth. And I really didn't look into the rest of the email, because the rest of the email here might be promoting corn syrup or some other things. So it's just funny how where the money comes from and who places the ads in these things, because a lot of these email newsletters, they're funded by ad money. They're funded by ad money. They're there for an agenda. They're there for something. And of course, the big ad money comes from the big industries. The big industries like the Sugar Association, like the Beverage Association, like the grocery manufacturers, like whatever it is. These are the guys that have the money, that are going to put the money out there and say, okay, let's teach chefs. I mean, I just laugh. This is what's going on. I go to a lot of conventions, and yeah, sure, the tides have turned. The tides have totally turned when it comes to promoting organic, promoting green, promoting healthy. I mean, the restaurant industry is moving in that direction, But it's amazing because at Aroma Time, I mean, we offer nothing but a lot of healthy options that are disguised to be gourmet. But as soon as people find out, like, oh, I don't want that. That's not for me. That word says organic on your menu, and that says, pesticide free or local or it's a free range or wild, and people just have these weird connotations still. So the general public, I think, has a lot to do with being educated, and of course, the education. I think people need to realize the education stems from these big corporations just spewing out all these dollars. It's like the GMO industry, just throwing out all this money. I found a really funny article from the USA Today. It was back in the summer. Maybe I can Google it and find it and do it in another video. But 88% of scientists say GMOs are safe. So if 88% of scientists say that GMOs are safe, why have 100 countries, or how many ever countries, 50, 60, 70 countries and counting, have banned GMOs? They're not listening to the same scientists that USA Today was. And chances are that article in USA Today was just written by Monsanto themselves and just put out there just to promote their cause. And of course, somebody like USA Today, takes ad money from Monsanto and their subsidiaries and whatever, and the whole industry, is happy to print something like that because they're supporting the people who are placing the ads, and that's a whole nother video. But yeah, so focus on nutrient-dense foods. Focus on foods that are in their whole form, foods that are preferably uncooked, raw. I'm not saying eat everything raw, because certain things need to be cooked or sprouted or germinated or some type of fermentation or something. Not many foods, but some. You wouldn't take a raw bean and start eating a raw garbanzo bean, okay? You would want to sprout that. You might want to cook that. There's nothing wrong with eating certain cooked foods. Broccoli is the one thing that I've heard over and over again that you just can't eat raw broccoli. You have to lightly steam it. But you want to eat foods in their closest to whole forms. So going back, don't fry the foods. Brown rice, don't add a ton of oil. Don't add any oil if you don't have to. Or if you're going to add oil, add a little bit of coconut oil. Don't have to load it up with salt and all these other fake things. Just eat the food as it is. And as you notice, when you eat these types of foods, you get fuller quicker. I believe that there's some kind of communication between the foods, your stomach, and your brain saying, wow, I've been satisfied. I've been satisfied that I've met some of my nutrients that I need, and let's turn off the hunger. As opposed to, you can literally, how many people can eat a whole bag of potato chips, right? And still feel hungry, right? Well, if you baked a sweet potato, okay, you might be able to eat the sweet potato chips like that, but if you baked a sweet potato and you ate that sweet potato, you feel full. The same quantity of food, right? A sweet potato versus it all sliced up and made into vegetable or sweet potato chips. You can eat the whole bag and still feel hungry, as opposed to just eating the sweet potato in its pure natural form. So when you think of foods, when you think of nutrient-dense foods, think along the lines of that. I'm Chef Marcus Giuliano. Thanks for watching this video. If you like my videos, please hit like, subscribe to my channel, and definitely pass it on.